All right, so today we're going to be showing you guys how to use the Copilot app that just came out yesterday. So I might have to ramble a little bit to find some things because it's very fresh on my mind as well. So first thing you have to do on your console is hook up the Ethernet cable to a router. And you want to make sure that you hook it up to the 4 or however many that's on there, the ones that are not for internet or labeled internet. So next thing you're going to do on your console is go under Setup and make sure that you're on DHCP. You can use a static address if you'd like to. DHCP is just going to be so much easier because the console is going to find the router and all sorts of all nice things, and the iPad will find it. Just makes life easier. So then we're going to go over to our iPad, and we've downloaded the Wing Copilot app. Not really going to go into detail on how you guys need to do that. It's going to search until it finds it, so we'll give it a second. And once it finds it, you're going to see that it matches down here where it's the Wing STP for us. Same one here. So we'll click on the screen and we're going to connect to it. So it's receiving data from it. And then we're going to stay on this screen for a little while on the iPad and just kind of show you some stuff that you can do for it. So on our left side over here, you're going to have sources, channels, outputs, and Talkback, which changes what you can do over on the right side. So we're going to start out with the channels, make it a little bit easier for us. And we're going to be on the Customize instead of the Connect tab. So on Customize, you're going to be able to change things and make it easier from on stage for whoever's doing front of house. So you can see here we have the kick, snare, the hi-hat. So if we can look back on our camera here, I'm going to change that from red to green. It immediately changes it from green, and I could add some words, whatever I wanted to, and then it adds the words on the screen. You can also put symbols, so we'll change that to a tambourine. We're going to go back to the kick drum, and we're going to get rid of the text, and we'll make it red because I just like having red for our percussion. So you can pretty much name anything you want to. I've already did the kick, snare, hat all the way across, got some overheads, and then you could do string instruments, bass, guitar, etc., etc. So these are going to be our 40 channels that we can use. The next selection here, you can change your aux inputs. So if on the console, I change this over, you can see that I'm going to be changing the aux from that kind of brownish color to the same blue that everything else is. We'll go back to brown. You can name these to whatever they are as well. Makes life a little bit easier. So then we're going to look on our buses. So we have mix 1, mix 2, all that good stuff. So on mix 1 here, if I needed to change that, let's say that I figured out the person showed up, and that's going to be vocal 1. So we could label this on the iPad Vox 1, and it will show up Vox 1 up here. I have figured out, and not sure if there's going to be an update, you can see on the app I'm changing the colors. And we'll go back to the camera while I'm changing colors. It doesn't change the colors. So it does change it on the routing menu, it just doesn't change the what used to be scribble strip, the light that's above it. So if everything is labeled, it's going to make life much easier for whoever's running monitors, especially if you're doing monitors off of front of house, which with this board, we'll show you on some EQ tricks you can do, is so much easier. So you can still add tags, which is great. So on the tags, you can add the words, like if we want to add that this is going to be drum, which would be better on inputs on the output. Anything that shares that, we can show you that it's very easy to set that up for DCAs or mute groups, but you can assign what mute groups you want it to be on here as well, which is really nice. And I guess to unassign, you have to hit down here. Pretty neat. So then we're going to go to our mains. So I ended up setting up our main left-right bus. I just put under amps and speakers, I put what looked like a few line array speakers. Then we have our subs and our fills, and we can name this main if we wanted to. So it makes it a little bit easier because you can have multiple people working on the console at the same time to get everything named for your show. I recommend having all this set up before you get there for sure. So matrices, we have the 8 of those, same thing, you can name and do all that good stuff as well. So then if you go to sources, sources are how Behringer has decided on this to name what goes where, which is kind of a cool concept. It's a little confusing at first, but it makes perfect sense after you get it all figured out. So sources are what could be used by channels, if that makes any sense. So you can name all of your sources. So we have a digital stage box hooked up to our AES50A and B port. Our A port is a DL151, so we have 24 inputs on it. I just went ahead and put in here, I put kick H and snare H. That way it wouldn't be confused with what we've named our channels as well. You could go ahead and go through and name every single one of these and put colors on them as you wanted to as well. But remember, these are sources, they're not the actual channels. So it's just going to help us to route things in a little while. So you can go through on all of your sources, the USB audio, expansion mode, you can read all these, AES, EBUN, user signal, oscillator. Everything here can be customized, which is really nice. So after you have it customized, you have the option to hit the connect button here. So in the connect button, you also have a safety that you have to turn on just like the console for outputs and inputs. So we're going to go all the way back over here for, let's see, let's do channels on this. So we have our channel here and we go to connect, and this is kind of cool. It's a simple way to use this app, but a hard way at the same time. So let's say that I wanted the kick drum to go into mix 1. I would end up hitting mix 1, you'd have to turn it on, and right now I've got it assigned to our main outs, and you can actually turn that up or down on the main outs, which is pretty nice. So it's kind of a long way of going around mixing, but you could mix one channel at a time off this if you wanted to. It's not mixing the way you should by using the true faders, but it is a workaround. The good thing is they just released the mix station version of this, so life is really good with that. So I'd look at it and download it. It's not available on iPad today or any of the iOS devices, but it is on Android, which is cool. So our outputs here, we have on our AES50B a DL154, which has 16 outputs. So if I turn the safe off, I can route this however I need to. So on our mix 1, you can see that I have Vox 1. On our mix 2, it's set up mono, so I have mix 2. We'll keep on going. And somebody showed up and they wanted stereo ears. So I selected it on 7 and 8. That's going to be 7 left and 7 right. So you could do this in anything. Somebody shows up and they want in-ears on mix 1. You could change our output on this to where mix 1 is mix 1 left and mix 2 is mix 1 right. So we're still using our stereo outputs, which is nice, having essentially 32 outs, if you want to call it that. I know it's really 16 mono, but that's going to give you the ability to have a lot more outputs. You'll have to have a lot more I/O boxes to be able to do this, but it's still really nice. Our mains, we can go ahead and have our mains assigned to left, right. Oops, I just messed that up. So we'll go back to bus and put that back on right. So over here, we can have our main selected. That's going to be the main left. That's going to be main right, which is nice. And then we've got our bus 1. And oh yeah, I forgot I've rechanged some of these. So that's going to be our front fills. And that's going to be our subs, which I do have it named sub over here, but it was confusing me that it says main 2L on the bottom. So as always, again, you could go back and customize that and change it to whatever you need to. So then let's go ahead and find. So now what I'm going to show you here is if you're on your channels selection, and let's say we have channel 1 selected. This is your actual fader. You can see I'm moving it remotely from the board. So you could do one channel at a time like we were talking about earlier, and this is going to be using the true faders, which is a good way to do it instead of going through the main bus output. So you'll have channels selected on the left side of your screen and the connect on the other side, and that gives you the ability to be able to move the actual fader, which is nice. You can also mute and unmute the channel from here as well. And the other thing I was going to show you here under channels is you can go back and forth between your alternate and main source, which is really nice. So the easiest way to route channels that I have seen so far is when you are in where I was, whoops, we'll get out of that. So let's say you're under the customization, and we'll get out of that. So you end up having on the right side, you're going to have your fader, which I don't have anything really assigned to this yet, and you see there is right above the fader, there's card 6, and then also you can press plus, and I'm going to route AES50A, and my mic is on 17. So now I have that routed. I should be able to hit close, and you see my microphone. So now I have the ability on this. This is the gain now, not the fader. So I can turn that up and down, and you can see on the console, oh, I should be able to clip that a little. And then I can have the gain turned way down on the console, oh, and you'll barely see it. So we'll go ahead and set that gain back up here. Also, you can mute and unmute the head amp, which is kind of a confusing thing that you could do. It might mess you up. So main alternate source, you can see it killed me on the console because it went back to that alternate source. Go back to our main, and that's going to be the easiest way to route it. So our snare, let's say that it was AES A channel 2. That's got that routed. You can go ahead and do 3 to 3, so on, so on. This seems to be the easiest way to be able to route your inputs to here. So we'll close that back out. And that's going to be under the customize, which I thought it'd be under the connect, which is kind of strange. So we'll go back to here. So you can also apply phantom power if you need to. You can adjust the gain. And then once you're through with that, I want to see how we get back. There's our fader control. So the fader control is under connect, which is kind of strange in my opinion, but I'm sure there's a reason for it. So when you're under connect, you actually have true fader control. As you can see, I'm moving it up on the board. So under customize, you have gain control instead of fader. So pretty cool way to get through that. It would allow you, if you had to, if you're in connect, you can mix very slowly. You wouldn't have any EQ control or anything. That's why I believe the MixStation apps can be a lot better for everybody. Talkback, you can do the sources for Talkback A, Talkback B, and you can also change the button, which is pretty nice. You can do it from here. So auto is going to be to where if you hold it down, it's going to act as a push. When you release it, it lets go. If you press it very quickly, and maybe you can just see here, we'll play with the mute. So if you did that, it would end up doing like that's doing. And if you held it down, it's going to keep it on, and when you let go of it, it's going to change it. And I'm not sure if I've even got the camera up here, but you might could see it. And I don't have the buttons pushed up yet, but that's how that would work. And you can assign where you want your Talkback to come from and where you want it to send to as well. So Talkback A, Talkback B, the reasons that you would probably want to use that is you could have one Talkback that is going to just people's in-ears, and you could have the other Talkback that's just going to monitors, or you could also have that Talkback to where one is just your monitors, and you could have a Talkback at front of house that could give you some control at through the main PA if you wanted to. So our outputs here, I think we went through that, how to do it. There's a lot that this app will do to help you to customize and route things, which would be really nice in the future. Look through a few more things here. So I think we already covered it, but on our AES-B, if we unlock it, you can even route that to your AES-A, and this is going to allow you to change things over to be able to use an X32 or an M32. You can send channels from this console to the other console and get everything going. And I believe that's kind of a beginning tutorial on how to use this. But yeah, just remember on the channels not to get confused if you're doing the actual fader or if you're doing the gain. So if you're in Connect, you're doing your fader. If you're under Customize, you're adjusting the gain. So that could really mess up some stuff if somebody's doing this from on stage. But use this to go ahead and add the tags and get everything in, because then you'll have your mute groups, and if you use the same word on everything, you can set everything up that's in that as a DCA, which is nice. So pretty cool app. It's nice. It just came out. So I'm sure there's a lot of other things they're going to do, and there's a lot of stuff I didn't even show you in this app, but it gives you so much control being able to do so many things through it. So just always remember you do have to lock or unlock, and hopefully it's not going to allow you to route things to itself, but I'm sure there is a way for that as well. You don't want to have the infinite loop of feedback. But as always, please hit subscribe and like, and if you guys need any gear, just give us a call. We will try to help you out with the best price we can. It's 256-275-4734. Have a great day.